This podcast is on Islam, and Islam is a monotheistic religion. It has its roots in Mecca, and like both the other monotheistic religions, we still have a belief in basically the Ten Commandments in Jesus in the Old and New Testament. But Islam is a little different. It's the newest monotheistic religion, and it basically, if you imagine it like a sandwich, you're packing on another layer on top of that, or even an ice cream sundae. So the newer stuff, everything stays the same in the monotheistic religions and our beliefs, but the newer stuff is going to add on and make Islam different from the other monotheistic religions. The quick facts about it: it began in the modern country of Saudi Arabia, specifically in Mecca. Its founder was Muhammad. It was said that in 560 that Muhammad received a message from God that there was going to be this new religion that was going to take place. Islam is the name of the religion. A Muslim is a person who practices Islam, and their house of worship is called a mosque. You can see here the most famous mosque we have is the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, the Holy Land. That's where we see a lot of the modern problems that are taking place between the Arabs and Palestinians because of the fact that both have ancient roots here in Jerusalem. Their holy text is the Quran. You can see it both ways, sometimes with a Q, sometimes with a K. And it's written in Arabic. All Muslims learn to read and write in Arabic, but they have a different book called the Sharia, and this is the Islamic law book. It has the rules and regulations that govern a society. We see this quite often used in modern societies such as the Taliban in Afghanistan and also in Iran with Islamic fundamentalism. When we get back to the basics and the basic premises of the religion, this is what we look at. Their beliefs, like I said before, they are monotheistic. They believe in one God named Allah. It is not a different God from the Christian or Jewish God. It is simply in the Arabic name for God. They believe in the Ten Commandments. They believe in all the same prophets, Abraham, Noah, Jacob, Moses, and Jesus. They believe in that. But they believe Muhammad was the last prophet, the last person who received God's message. And that is the big difference. That's why Muhammad was the founder in 560 in Mecca. They believe in equality for all believers in God's eyes. And they, just like in the other monotheistic religions, they too have a judgment day, a day when they're either in paradise or hell. And the idea is, the difference is it's a patriarchal society, one in which the men must care for the women. The women have their spot in the private sphere, where the men are the ones that are out in the public sphere. This is exacerbated and made more severe in places like Afghanistan when the Taliban was in power. Okay, their practices are their 5 pillars. We remember the 5 pillars. It's the basic thing. It's like the Ten Commandments. 10512, the Carmel zip code. The first, one God and no other gods. Allah is the only God and Muhammad was his prophet. The 0, okay, can be 1 month of fasting or 0 food during Ramadan, which is the holy month. Okay, and that's from sun up till sundown. You're not allowed to eat or drink. This fasting is supposed to bring you closer to God. It's supposed to bring you closer to your religion. And during this time, you read 1/30th of the Quran each day until we get through the whole month and the Quran is then finished. Also, we see pray 5 times a day facing Mecca. And that's seen on a regular basis. And we see this sometimes with the traditional against the modern kind of stuff. In a public workspace, you'll see them put down mats and begin to pray, even though it's in a modern space, something like Dubai in the Arab United Emirates. The 1% represents one Hajj or pilgrimage to Mecca in your lifetime. Okay, if you can afford it. It doesn't make you a bad Muslim if you can't make it there. But this Hajj or pilgrimage that you take to Mecca is supposed to, again, bring you closer to God. And the last one is called almsgiving, and that's 2. You're supposed to give 2% of your wealth to the poor to be used for social services. The Kaaba is located in a mosque in Mecca. It's holy because God performed the miracle that saved Ishmael here. You may see this place completely filled to the brim during holy months, okay? And unbelievable stuff here. The dress code. Men must wear a skull cap, loose-fitting clothing with a beard. That's kind of been outdated a little. In modern societies that practice Islam, that's not the case. Women must wear the headscarf and loose-fitting clothing. The veiled body that you see when they're totally covered is actually a Persian custom. It's not Islam itself. Islamic fundamentalist groups will use this as the formal covering, the idea of a burqa. There are restrictions within their diet. There's no pork, no alcohol, and no smoking. We know that this is also the case with no pork in Hinduism. There's no gambling. And they also have the idea of polygamy, where you can have up to 4 wives at one time, but they all must be treated equally. There are 2 sects of Islam, divisions, okay? We talked about, just like in Christianity, where we have Eastern Orthodox, we have Catholic, and we have we have Protestant. The sects of Islam work the same way. There's 2. There's the Sunni and the Shiite Muslims. And they argue over who is the person who is claimed to succeed from Muhammad. Who's next? Who's the successor? The person who is supposed to take over. And you can see that we still have some of the same similarities between these 2 religions. And if you want to take the opportunity to write some of this down, you can. I'll leave this off for a minute. And you can obviously pause the video if you want. This is the end of the video podcast on Islam.